Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss some basic components of the human eye. These basic components in your early classes means like in the case of biological concepts you learned in a very enlarged manner in your lower classes. Just we are going to recall them and what are the components of that. We know that eye is a ball-like structure. Many components are there in that ball-like structure. Means it is a sphere. Eyeball is look like as a sphere. There are many parts are there in that. Let us discuss some of the parts what is needed for us. See, the first part is cornea. Cornea is the outermost part of the eyeball. Outermost part of the eyeball is nothing but cornea. It is a sharply curved one. If you observe the figure, it is a sharply curved one. Cornea is a sharply curved one. And see here one more word is there, transparent. What is meaning of transparent? The light that enter on the eye, then it should allow the light inside. So mustard should be a transparent. When the light that falls on it, it should enter the light into it. So for that it should be transparent. And one more word is there, protective membrane. Membrane is nothing but like a sheet, and it is protecting all the inner parts of the eye. For that secondly the word is came protective membrane. Now what is cornea? A sharply curved, transparent, protective membrane of the total outside of the eyeball is called as cornea. Now let us come the next part of the eye. Means behind the cornea only a jelly type liquid is present. Of course, you know how and why we will get tears. Sometimes our eye is always wet. Not sometimes, generally. But some cases in certain people the eye will be dried up. Means the liquid that present on the eye is dried up. That liquid is nothing but aqueous humor. Whenever the eye liquid is dried up, then we are going to lose the sight. Right? Good. Now what is aqueous humor? A jelly type liquid. Where it is present? Between the cornea and the eyelids. Means first of all cornea, the second part is aqueous humor, the next part is nothing but eyelids. Let us discuss what is the next topic, that is nothing but iris. The next part of eye is iris. It is a muscular diaphragm present between the aqueous humor and eyelids. There will be a curved part or otherwise a spherical part we can observe in the eye, that is nothing but iris. It is only the colored part of eye. If you observe, some of the eyes will be there in blue color, some of the eyes will be there in brown color. If you observe the cats, means cat means not only which is there in our house, cat family, the family of the cats generally brown in color. If you observe the buffalo, its color is different. Means the eye color depending upon iris only. So the colored part of the eye is nothing but iris. It is a muscular diaphragm present between the aqueous humor and eyelids. Right. The next one is pupil. Pupil is the small hole that present in the iris. Means if you observe, this is the iris. At the center part of the iris having a small hole. That hole will be very small one. We can't observe it, but it will be there in our eye. That small hole that present in the eye is called as pupil. What is the use of this? That we may discuss now. It will be generally in black in color. Now once again see, pupil is a small hole present in the iris. Now let us discuss what is the relation between, what is the functioning of iris and as well as the pupil. Now let us discuss what is the functioning of iris and pupil in the human eye. See, if you consider this is the iris, is the colored part of the eye, and the central part of the iris having a small hole is called pupil, already discussed. See, sometimes high intensity of the light that may fall on the eye. For example, say night time you are riding the bike or otherwise something, more amount of the light will fall on upon our eye. Then what we are going to do? We will close our eyes like this. But that protective part is done by the iris. If more amount of the light, that is high intensity of the light that fall on the eye, this means fall on the iris, then what happens? This iris controls this pupil. Means iris apply the force on the pupil, then automatically size of iris is reduced. Size of the iris is reduced, then automatically the size of the pupil is also reduced. Because of that, what happens? Less amount of the light that enter into the remaining part of the eye. For example, if low intensity of the light that falls on the eye, what happens? Iris enlarges. Iris enlarges. Whenever the iris is expanded, the size of the pupil will be increased. Then the total intensity of the light that falls on the eye will be enter into the eye. From this explanation, what we can understand, iris is controlling the size of the pupil. Means it can allow required quantity of the light into the eye only. Not at all large quantity of the light or otherwise less quantity of the light, but sufficient amount of the light only enter into the eye because of iris. For that sake only, iris is controlling the pupil. That means size of the pupil is under the control of iris. We already said pupil is a very small one, means a pin size, and its size is changing. For that sake only, the pupil is also called as variable aperture. The another name of the pupil is nothing but variable aperture. Aperture is nothing but a small hole. That small hole's diameter changing depending upon the high intensity of the light and low intensity of the light under the control of iris. So that pupil is also called variable aperture. Let us discuss some more basic components of the human eye. Now, let us see one more important part of the human eye, that is eye lens. Eye lens, generally it will be there in a biconvex shape. It is a transparent, hard, muscular membrane present backside of the iris and in front of the retina. Generally, it is hard at the middle, means it is too hard at the middle. Whenever it comes to the edges, it becomes soft. Why at the edges it becomes soft? Why? Because the edges of the eye lens is connected to the ciliary muscles. These ciliary muscles will control the size of the eye lens. Because of change in the size of the eye lens, then automatically the focal length will change. See here, this is an eye lens. Before the eye lens, iris is there. We know iris is a colored part. The small hole that present in the iris is called pupil. When the light, sufficient amount of the light that enter into the eye lens and fall on the eye lens, undergo the process of refraction. Generally, it is a biconvex lens, so it can do the process of both converging and as well as diverging. Generally here, only converging process can be taken place and the image is able to form on the retina. Now, once again see here, Islands is a muscular membrane and is there in the shape of convex lens we are saying. Lens must and should have some focal length. Then what about the focal length of islands? Is it constant or variable? Yes, compulsory we can say the focal length of islands must and should be variable. Why? Because it is under the control of ciliary muscles. Now let us explain what is the relation between the ciliary muscles and as well as the focal length of the islands. Alright. Ciliary muscles. See, if you observe, this is the islands. I already said at the center it is hard and the edges it becomes soft. Now these edges are connected to the muscles. The muscle in which the islands is connected. The muscle in which the islands is connected. This means islands is the edges are connected to the ciliary muscles. Whenever these ciliary muscles are maintained down, we already said that islands is in the shape of the ball, spherical shape, and then this is connected to the optic nerve. This framework we are going to call it as retina. Retina is the frame where we are going to get the image. Now, see what the use of these ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles are controlling the focal length of islands. Focal length of the islands is under the control of ciliary muscles. How the ciliary muscles will control the focal length of islands? That means islands focal length is a change one. Means islands automatically changes its focal length under the control of ciliary muscles. Where there is a change in the focal length, automatically there is a change in the radius of curvature. How can we say? Why? Because the radius of curvature is equal to r is equal to 2f, or otherwise the focal length is equal to half of the radius of curvature. Then there is a change in the focal length of the islands is under the control of ciliary muscles. Let us discuss what is the functioning of ciliary muscles and as well as islands while changing the focal length of the islands. Now let us discuss the functioning of ciliary muscles and islands. What is the relation between the ciliary muscles and islands? As we already said, the thick, hard, transparent muscle is called islands and the edges are connected to the ciliary muscles. Right. See, whenever the eye is turned towards the object which is at distance, means longer distance objects, means they are at far distance, then what happens? The ciliary muscles are get relaxed. Whenever we see a long distance object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed. Whenever a ciliary muscle is relaxed, the focal length of islands is increases. That value may be 2.7 centimeters. Now, 2.5 centimeters. For example, say an eye is focused towards a nearer object, means the object is very close to the eye, then what happens? The ciliary muscles are strained, then the focal length of islands decreases to 2.27 centimeters. This is the maximum limit of islands and this is the minimum limit of focal length of the islands. From this we can understand that the focal length of islands is under the control of ciliary muscles. If the ciliary muscles are relaxed, the focal length of islands increases to the maximum value, that is 2.5 centimeters. If the ciliary muscles are strained, the focal length of islands decreases to a minimum value, that is 2.27 centimeters. From this explanation we can understand that the focal length of islands varies in between 2.27 centimeters to 2.5 centimeters because of the control of ciliary muscles. One thing also we can observe, there is a capability to adjust the focal length of eye lens by itself to a farther distance object and as well as nearer distance objects. That ability is called accommodation of eye lens. The ability of eye lens to adjust its focal length to a maximum value and to a minimum value is called accommodation. So we can conclude that the focal length of the eye lens, which is a very important topic, is under the control of ciliary muscles only. This means ciliary muscles are controlling the focal length of eye lens. For that purpose only we can get a clear image on the retina. Retina is nothing but a screen that presents backside of the eye lens. Of course, clearly we may learn in your lower classes. Here we are discussing what are the physical needs only, not the biological needs. What are the physical needs only. So further we are going to discuss. Once again, what is the meaning of accommodation? The ability of adjusting the focal length of eye lens to a maximum value, that is 2.5 centimeters, and to a minimum value, that is 2.27 centimeters, is called accommodation. Now let us discuss how our eye can identify the colors. In the first case, we discussed how our eye will control the intensity of the light. The intensity of the light is controlled by iris. In the second case, we are discussing how our eye is adjusted to a far distance object and as well as nearer object. In the next case, we are going to discuss how our eye can identify the colors, what is the reason for that colors, that we may discuss now. Yes, to identify the color in the eye, one more part is there, that is called receptors. In the eye, around 125 million receptors are there. Receptor is receives the various signals that is coming from the light. These receptors is of two types. There are cones and rods. Cones is one of the type of receptors, and rods also one of the type of receptors. Both of them are present in the eye. Then what is the main difference? Here, cones are used to identify the color that is coming from the light or from the object. Cones are used to identify the color. Rods are used to identify the intensity of the light that enter into the eye. Means if more amount of the intensity of the light is coming, less intensity of the light is coming from the object, will be identified by using the rods. Both of them are about 125 millions of the receptors are there. Now let us discuss what is the last part of the eye. The last part of eye, and then very important part, and which gives the link in between retina and the brain. Why? Because till now on the retina, that we are calling as a screen of eye, a real inverted diminished image is formed on the retina because of this process. And these optic nerve fibers, which are about 1 million in number, they will carry the information regarding the object from retina to brain. Why? Because brain only will controls the total eye part. That means the total signals that is coming from the object fall on the eye lens, and the image is formed on the retina. From the retina, the information will be carried to the brain by using the optic nerves only. About these optic nerves are 1 million optic nerves are there. So the optic nerves is also placing a very important role while carrying the signals of real inverted diminished image of the object formed on the retina. In the next videos, we are going to discuss what are the defects of the human eye and those all. Thank you.